For weeks Jey Uso lay broken. For weeks the question that consumed the entire Bloodline, the entire roster, and the entire WWE Universe had no answer. Who attacked Main Event Jey? Who had the audacity, the access, and the absolute ruthlessness to put Roman Reigns' family member down? And then The Rock and Roman Reigns found out. And what they did to that person in the backstage corridors of WWE was something the wrestling world will never forget. The most electrifying man in sports entertainment and the tribal chief, together, on a hunt. And they found exactly what they were looking for. God help whoever was on the other end of that discovery. Welcome back. I am your host. And I need you to understand something before we go a single second further into this breakdown. When Roman Reigns is looking for you, that is dangerous. When The Rock is looking for you, that is a different category of dangerous entirely. But when The Rock and Roman Reigns are looking for you together, moving through the backstage corridors of a WWE arena with unified purpose and zero diplomatic intention, there is no version of that story that ends well for the person they are searching for. Jey Uso's attacker found out exactly what that means, in the most physical, most personal, most completely unambiguous way that professional wrestling has ever delivered a consequence. Subscribe if you are new. Hit that notification bell. Drop a comment right now. Who did you think attacked Jey Uso before this revelation? I want every theory this community constructed across the weeks of this mystery. Let's go into every extraordinary layer of this story together right now. To feel the complete weight of what The Rock and Roman Reigns did when they finally identified Jey Uso's attacker, we need to begin at the beginning, at the attack itself. At the moment that opened a wound in the bloodline that every subsequent development has been flowing from. Jey Uso's backstage assault was one of the most shocking, most viscerally disturbing developments in the WWE's recent storytelling history, and the specific reasons why it generated such an extraordinary response from the bloodline, from the roster, and from the WWE Universe require careful examination. Main Event Jey Uso in 2026 is not the same performer who spent years in the shadow of the bloodline's most dominant chapter. He is a fully realized, completely evolved, independently credible force in WWE's main event landscape. The journey that took him from Shield opponent to Bloodline member to Bloodline refugee to beloved WWE Universe champion of the people, every chapter of that journey has added dimension and depth to one of the most genuine characters in modern professional wrestling. Which means attacking Jey Uso is not simply a tactical decision in a power struggle. It is a personal statement. A message delivered to the WWE Universe and to the Bloodline, simultaneously communicating that whoever made this move is either extraordinarily brave, extraordinarily reckless, or operating with a level of protection that makes the usual consequences of targeting Roman Reigns' family feel manageable. The attack itself was brutal in the specific way that backstage assaults communicate intent, not the theatrical violence of an in-ring confrontation but the targeted, calculated brutality of someone who wanted to send a message with maximum physical impact and minimum interference. Jey Uso was found by WWE personnel in a state that immediately elevated this from an in-story confrontation to a legitimate crisis within the WWE environment. The Bloodline's response was immediate. Roman Reigns, whose relationship with Jey has been the most complicated, most emotionally loaded, most narratively significant within the entire extended family structure, did not receive this news with the cold calculation of the tribal chief managing a political situation. He received it as a brother who had been given information about harm done to family. And The Rock, whose presence in the WWE landscape carries the specific weight of the most culturally significant figure professional wrestling has ever produced, had his own reasons for taking the attack on Jey Uso with a personal intensity that transformed this from a bloodline matter into something considerably larger. The investigation that The Rock and Roman Reigns conducted in the weeks following Jey Uso's attack is one of the most compelling non-match storyline developments WWE has produced in the modern era. Because watching two of the most powerful, most strategically intelligent, most institutionally connected figures in professional wrestling work together toward a common purpose, eliminating every false theory, every convenient misdirection, every deliberately planted piece of misinformation to find the actual truth, was appointment television of the highest order. The Rock's contribution to the investigation was specific to his particular capabilities. The most electrifying man in sports entertainment has a relationship with the WWE landscape that transcends any current performer's institutional access. His decades of connection to personnel, to power structures, to the historical context that frames every current development gave him investigative angles unavailable to anyone else. He could make calls, pull on threads, access rooms and conversations and information that the current roster simply cannot reach. Roman Reigns' contribution was complementary and equally essential. The tribal chief's deep knowledge of the current roster, his understanding of motivations, his read on who had the capability and the grievance to execute something this significant, his specific intelligence about the internal dynamics of WWE's backstage environment provided the analytical framework that The Rock's broader institutional access could fill. Together they eliminated suspects with methodical precision. Every theory examined. Every alibi checked against available information. Every potential motivation weighed against known history and established relationships. The Usos were involved in the search because the attack on Jey was an attack on all of them, and the Usos' specific knowledge of their brothers' current relationships and ongoing conflicts provided ground-level information that the broader investigation needed. And through all of it, through every week of systematic, purposeful searching, one name kept emerging. One connection kept appearing in the evidence, regardless of which angle the investigation approached from. One person whose access, motivation, and capability aligned with every known detail of what had been done to Jey Uso. The Rock and Roman Reigns found their answer. And then they went to find the person. The moment The Rock and Roman Reigns moved from investigation to action, from gathering information to delivering consequences, the moment the story transformed from a compelling mystery into a historic WWE moment. They moved through the backstage area together. And the specific quality of that movement witnessed by crew members, by roster members who happened to be in the corridors, by anyone whose work placed them in the path of two of the most physically and institutionally powerful figures in WWE history, moving with unified, purposeful intent, generated an atmosphere that multiple accounts have described the same way. The building felt different. The air in those corridors carried the specific charge of an environment where something significant and irreversible is about to occur. Crew members stepped aside. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. The normal noise and activity of a WWE backstage area, which is always busy, always loud, always filled with the overlapping activity of dozens of people executing dozens of simultaneous responsibilities, went quiet in the specific way that a crowd goes quiet when something is happening that demands complete attention. Roman Reigns led. The tribal chief moving through the environment, he knows completely every corridor, every room, every exit and entrance with the navigation of someone who has spent years understanding the geography of WWE's backstage world. Beside him, The Rock moved with the specific physical presence that decades of global cultural significance has produced, a presence that does not need to announce itself because every person in any room it enters feels it immediately. They reached the area where their investigation had led them. A specific part of the backstage environment where the person they had identified, the attacker whose actions had set this entire sequence of events in motion, was located, going about whatever business they had in that moment, unaware, perhaps, that the conclusion of weeks of investigation had just arrived in their corridor. Or perhaps, and this possibility is the most chilling version of this story, completely aware, and choosing to stand their ground anyway. What happened when The Rock and Roman Reigns confronted Jey Uso's attacker in that backstage corridor is the centerpiece of everything, the moment that every week of investigation, every Bloodline reaction, every WWE Universe theory had been building toward. The confrontation began verbally. Because The Rock is, among all his other extraordinary qualities, one of the greatest verbal communicators professional wrestling has ever produced. And because the specific situation demanded words before physicality demanded that the attacker understand, with complete clarity, what had been discovered and by whom before the physical reckoning that followed. The Rock spoke with the specific, measured quality that he reserves for moments of genuine consequence. Not the electrifying showman energy that characterizes his interaction with live audiences. The voice of someone who has all the information, has processed all of it, and is now delivering a verdict. The attacker's response, whatever defense or explanation or justification they offered in that corridor, was heard.